And we got Napheesa Collier making comments about the CBA. I don't know if she's finally coming to some realization. I don't know. So let's check this out. In the midst of all of it, former MLB executive David Sampson has claimed that the Players Association may have to accept that the WNBA owners have the advantage, and an agreement will only come as a result of a...
That right there is the reality check. WNBA players don't want to hear. Former MLB executive David Sampson just laid out exactly why these CBA negotiations are heading toward a crisis. And notice what he said. Expansion fees, relocation fees, one-time broadcast bonuses. The players want all of that counted as league revenue. But here's the problem. You can't pay recurring salaries with non-recurring money.
In other words, that is not money that the WNBA can count on making. By the way, they've already laid out their expansion plans. They're just supposed to keep adding teams every single year just to be able to pay these players? We know that's not how. I mean, the NFL hasn't added a team in how many years? How many years? It's been a long... I mean, we know leagues don't just add...
6 months. That's how long people have been saying this, and the message still isn't getting through. The WNBA Players Association is trying to build their salary demands on money that only comes in once. Think about that logic for a second. Golden State paid a $150 million expansion fee to join the league. That money hits the books one time. But player salaries? Those get paid every single year for decades. The math doesn't work. It never did. And now we're 2 weeks from the season with no deal in sight.
As well, we're going to talk about the WNBA CBA. As we know, the last couple of days has been a back and forth. And yesterday, Mark Cuban, of course, the former owner of the Mavs, longtime owner in the NBA, come right out and said, the WNBA does not have the money to give these players a significant raise as the way things are structured. He laid out a plan. That's not going to happen. All right, that plan's not going to happen. There were some good things in there, some not so good things in there. Might have been a little better than what they got.
Mark Cuban saw this coming. The former Mavericks owner, someone who's been in professional sports ownership for over 2 decades, came out publicly and said the WNBA does not have the money to meet these demands. He even laid out an alternative plan. Now, his plan had flaws, plenty of them, but at least he was willing to state the obvious truth that everyone in front offices already knows. The league is losing money, not breaking even, not barely profitable, actively losing money every single season, and the players are demanding a revenue split like they're the NBA.
So, Napheesa Collier is saying someone is going to have to fold. Are the players finally getting to the point where they're like, we're getting too close to the season now, things are tightening up? WNBPA President Napheesa Collier is confident the season will happen, but it won't come without compromise. Quote, well, someone's going to have...
So now we're watching this play out in real time. Nneka Ogwumike, the WNBA Players Association president, is doing press runs talking about the CBA. And here's what's fascinating. She's doing these interviews while promoting Unrivaled, the 3-on-3 league that's literally competing with the WNBA for attention and talent. Read that situation again. The Players Union president is negotiating with WNBA owners while simultaneously promoting a rival league, and she's confident the season will happen, but admits someone's going to have to fold. Well, yeah. That's how negotiations work, when you're asking for things the other side literally cannot afford to give you.
Well, we don't think, obviously, what we're asking for is unfair. Otherwise, we wouldn't be asking for it. But we understand it's a negotiation, and I think we are trending in the right direction. But we have to be able to stand strong in what we believe in and make sure we are getting a fair cut in this pie that are building together as a league and as players.
Here's what the players keep saying. We don't think what we're asking for is unfair. Otherwise, we wouldn't be asking for it. That's the quote. We understand it's a negotiation, but we need a fair cut of the pie we're building together. Okay, let's talk about that pie. The WNBA's current media rights deal is $200 million per year, a massive increase from the previous $50 million. Sounds great, right? Except the league has to split that money 12 ways minimum, soon to be 15 teams with expansion. That's roughly $13 million per team annually before you pay for anything. Facilities, travel, coaching staff, front office, marketing, medical staff, equipment, arena costs. Now the players want a salary cap of $9.5 million per team. The league countered at $5.65 million. Do that math with me. If you're paying out $13 million per team just from TV money and your salary cap is $9.5 million, you've got less than $4 million to cover everything else. Every single other expense a professional sports team has.
I think the league's compromised to, what, 6.5 or something like that? I don't know. I see them coming together at around like 7, something like that. I'd have to look at the numbers, but somewhere around 6.5 to $7 million on a salary cap and a little bit more salary, and that's going to be it. It's going to be a wrap at that point. Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The prediction here is they'll meet somewhere around 6.5 to 7 million for the salary cap. Not the 9.5 million the players want, not even close to the revenue sharing model they're demanding. Just a modest bump from the current structure, with maybe some minor improvements to benefits and working conditions. Why? Because David Sampson was right. The owners hold all the leverage here. They can shut the league down tomorrow and it costs them nothing. These teams are already losing money. But the players, this is their livelihood. Their careers are short. Every missed season is potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars they'll never get back.
I will say this, even though there's flaws in Mark Cuban's plans, his salary structure he laid out, I will say this. Him coming out and just saying the league does not have the money, I think it's good for people that's that high profile to come out and say publicly the WNBA does not have the money to pay these players what they are asking for. It cannot happen.
So let's talk about what Mark Cuban actually accomplished by going public. Forget his specific plan for a minute. The salary structure he proposed, the revenue splits, all of that. What mattered was him saying out loud what everyone in NBA and WNBA front offices already knows. The money isn't there. Cuban has credibility. He just sold his stake in an NBA franchise for billions. He's not some random talking head on sports radio. When he says the WNBA cannot afford these demands, that carries weight. And maybe, just maybe, that message starts to break through the echo chamber the players have been operating in. Because here's what's been happening. The players see packed arenas for Caitlin Clark games. They see the massive spike in TV ratings when she plays. They see social media engagement through the roof, and they think that translates directly into available cash for salaries. But revenue and profit are two completely different things.
A lot of shit's not sinking in with this bunch. Not the sharpest tools in the shit. I'm just pointing that out. And they're going to do something. The players are going to do something radical so it looks good on social media, and then they're going to sign the deal. You know? Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out.
Here's what's going to happen. We're going to get another 2 weeks of this back and forth. Social media is going to be filled with players posting about their worth and fans arguing about revenue splits. There's going to be a deadline set, probably around April 15th or whenever training camps are supposed to start. And right before that deadline hits, right when it looks like the season might actually be in jeopardy, they'll announce a deal. The salary cap will land somewhere between $6.5 and $7 million. The players will get some improvements to travel accommodations, maybe better hotel situations, possibly some enhanced marketing rights. They'll frame it as a victory, post about it on social media, and everyone will move on. But it won't be anywhere close to what they're asking for right now. And you know what? That might actually be the right deal for where the league is financially. Not because the players don't deserve more, they absolutely work incredibly hard and are elite athletes, but because you can't distribute money that doesn't exist, you can't promise salaries based on one-time expansion fees, you can't build a sustainable business model on hoping the next TV deal is even bigger. The WNBA is 28 years old and has never turned a profit. Not once. Every single season has been subsidized by the NBA. That's not an insult, it's just a fact. And until the league actually generates consistent profit, not just revenue but actual profit, these negotiations are always going to hit this same wall. Look at what David Sampson said about calculating business ability. One-time events don't count. Expansion fees don't count. Relocation fees don't count. Special broadcast bonuses don't count. The only money that matters for long-term salary planning is recurring revenue that you can count on year after year. And by that measure, the WNBA's financial picture is still precarious. The players keep talking about building the pie together, and they're right about that. Caitlin Clark alone probably added $50 million in value to the league this year through ratings and merchandise. Angel Reese, Cameron Brink, the entire rookie class drove unprecedented attention, but attention doesn't automatically equal profit. You have to convert that attention into sustainable revenue streams, and then you have to make sure your expenses don't exceed that revenue. Right now, the WNBA is in growth mode. They're spending money to build the brand, expand to new markets, improve facilities, and travel. All of that is necessary investment for long-term success. But it also means the money isn't there yet for massive salary increases. It's just not. So when Nneka Ogwumike says someone's going to have to fold, she's right. And based on basic economics and leverage, it's going to be the players. Not completely, they'll get something, but nowhere near what they're asking for. And then we'll do this whole dance again in 5 or 6 years, when the next CBA expires. The frustrating part is how predictable this all is. Everyone who understands sports business saw this coming the moment the players started talking about counting expansion fees as revenue. That was never going to fly. The owners were never going to agree to that. And now we've wasted months of negotiating time on a non-starter. What should the players have done? Focus on the recurring revenue. Focus on the $200 million annual media deal. Make your case based on that number and how it should be split. Push for better revenue sharing on merchandise. Fight for a bigger cut of ticket sales. Those are all recurring revenue streams that can support recurring salaries. But expansion fees, that was always going to be a dead end. And here's the thing that nobody wants to say out loud. The players might actually be hurting their own cause by overreaching. If they'd come to the table with reasonable demands based on actual recurring revenue, they probably could have gotten a deal done months ago. Instead, they're going to end up with something pretty similar to what the league already offered. But now there's tension and frustration on both sides. So yeah, someone's going to fold. The players will accept something around $6.5 million for the salary cap. They'll get some quality of life improvements. They'll call it progress. And the league will continue operating at a loss while hoping that Caitlin Clark's star power and the next generation of talent can finally push them into profitability. Is that fair? Maybe not, but it's reality. And reality doesn't care about what's fair. It only cares about what the numbers actually say. What do you think? Should the players hold out for more, or is it time to accept the deal that's actually financially possible? Drop your take in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed because this CBA situation is far from over.